The irrelevant national embarrassments Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney wrote an op-ed in the New York Times where, shock, shock, they disagreed with Obama. Wow, I mean, what a new thought process. That wasn't entirely predictable. So sit down and buckle up, because this is packed with Republican projection and irony and hypocrisy and idiocy. So the Cheneys say, quote, Iraq is at risk of falling to a radical Islamic terror group, and Mr. Obama is talking climate change. Stupid. Terrorists take control of more territory and resources than ever before in history, and he goes golfing. Al-Qaeda and its affiliates are resurgent, and defeating them will require a strategy, not a fantasy. It will require sustained, difficult military, intelligence, and diplomatic efforts, not empty, misleading rhetoric. It will require rebuilding America's military capacity, reversing the Obama policies that have weakened our armed forces and reduced our ability to influence events around the world. Despite clear evidence of the dire need for American leadership around the world, the desperation of our allies and the glee of our enemies, President Obama seems determined to leave office, ensuring he has taken America down a notch. Rarely has a U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many. I don't know if I've ever heard a single line more ironic than that. Dick fucking Cheney is going to say, rarely has a U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many. That would be George W. Bush and you. Okay, the invasion of Iraq killed what? Minimum 100,000 innocent civilians, displaced millions of people, killed thousands of our own brave young men and women. Never mind the invasion of Afghanistan, killing so many civilians and killing so many of our own soldiers. You know, the unintended consequences of doing those wars has been what? An increase in Al-Qaeda recruitment, Taliban recruitment, ISIS recruitment. See, that's what they don't answer for. This is what he doesn't get. In his mind, oh, more terrorists exist? Okay, we need to crush them. Yeah, but wait a second. That was your strategy when you were in power. And guess what happened? By killing so many civilians, you ended up increasing the strength of those terror groups. It's called blowback by the CIA. In 2007, there was a study done that came up with the term the Iraq effect. You know what that means? It was the unintended consequences of us killing so many innocent Iraqi civilians. That, again, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban got stronger. And then Obama comes into place and copies a lot of Cheney's policies, and he says, well, Obama failed. But he's doing your policies. What are you talking about? I mean, how silly is this guy? We still have 9,800 troops in Afghanistan, and then after 2 years, we draw down to 1,000 troops, maybe. We were in Iraq for well over a decade, so what do you want to do? Do you want to stay there forever? But I guess that's what he's saying. I guess his point is we should stay there forever. So look, his main beef with Obama is, sure, he's hawkish. Sure, he's killing people with drones in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. Sure, we're still in Afghanistan. Sure, we still have 900 military bases. But he should be more neoconservative and more hawkish with his policy. So his beef is we should do more war in Iraq. Well, here's the thing, Dick. You didn't always agree with yourself. So listen to the former Dick talk to the new Dick from 1994. This is in an interview when Dick Cheney was asked about the Gulf War, so the original Iraq War, and why they didn't go further at that point in time and topple Saddam. Listen.
Do you think that the U.S. or UN forces should have moved into Baghdad?
No.
Why not?
Because if we'd gone to Baghdad, we would have been all alone. There wouldn't have been anybody else with us. It would have been a U.S. occupation of Iraq. None of the Arab forces that were willing to fight with us in Kuwait were willing to invade Iraq. Once you got to Iraq and took it over and took down Saddam Hussein's government, then what are you going to put in its place? That's a very volatile part of the world, and if you take down the central government in Iraq, you can easily end up seeing pieces of Iraq fly off. Part of it the Syrians would like to have to the west. Part of eastern Iraq, the Iranians would like to claim, fought over for 8 years. In the north, you've got the Kurds, and if the Kurds spin loose and join with the Kurds in Turkey, then you threaten the territorial integrity of Turkey. It's a quagmire if you go that far and try to take over Iraq. The other thing was casualties. Everyone was impressed with the fact that we were able to do our job with as few casualties as we had. But for the 146 Americans killed in action and for their families, it wasn't a cheap war. And the question for the president, in terms of whether or not we went on to Baghdad and took additional casualties in an effort to get Saddam Hussein, was how many additional dead Americans is Saddam worth? And our judgment was not very many, and I think we got it right.
The thing that's so creepy about that is not only was he right, he was exactly right.